Example 3. So this one, it says to find all the values of x that make the equation true. So we have x's in the denominators, which means these are rational equations. So in order to do that, we need, the first step is always to multiply both sides by both denominators. So I have x plus 2 over here and 2x plus 4. So I'm going to multiply both sides by both denominators. I'm going to multiply this side by that, and I'm going to multiply this side by x plus 2 and 2x plus 4. So that's always the first step. I'm going to cancel out anything that they have in common. So on this side, I have an x plus 2 and an x plus 2. On this side, I have a 2x plus 4 and a 2x plus 4. That leaves me on this side with 2x plus 4. And then I have a 3 here from here. And on this side, I have an x minus 3 and an x plus 2. Right, so now I need to simplify these. So for the left side, I need to distribute this 3 to both of them. So that's going to give me a 6x plus 12. Now on this side, I have 2 binomials, which means I actually need to multiply them all. And so foiling or doing the box would be the easiest thing. So x minus 3, and I'm multiplying x plus 2. Notice this is multiplying. That's why they're on the outside. So I get x squared minus 3x, 2x, and minus 6. These are like terms, so when I write out my answer, I get x squared, negative 3x plus 2x will give me a negative x, and then a minus 6. So now I just need to solve. Since I have an x squared, we learned this at the beginning of the year, that means I need to set everything equal to 0. So I need them all to come over here with the x squared. So I'm going to move everything from the left side over to the right side by canceling them out. So I'm going to subtract 6x from both sides. I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. All right, that will cancel this out, and that will cancel this out. So now I can simplify it, and it's 0 equals, this x squared is still the same. Negative x minus 6x is negative 7x. And negative 6 minus 12 is negative 18. So now I have an x squared trinomial. That means I need to factor. So I need 2 numbers that multiply to negative 18 and add to negative 7. So multiply and add. So think of all the ways to multiply to negative 18. That means one's positive and one's negative, and they need to add to negative 7. So that would be negative 9 and a positive 2. Negative 9 plus 2 is negative 18. Negative 9 plus 2 is negative 7. Negative 9 times 2, did I say that, is negative 18. So now the last step is to set each of these equal to 0 and solve. So x minus 9 equals 0. X plus 2 equals 0. So that means my answers are 9 and negative 2. This is a 0. Now remember, we could have extraneous solutions. So before we do this, to say that that's our final answer, we need to look back up at the denominators and see what the denominators cannot equal. Remember, we cannot have a denominator that equals 0. So this x plus 2, it cannot equal 0, because if it does, that's undefined and we can't solve that problem. So this is going to be x equals negative 2. So our answer of x equals negative 2 cannot happen, because when I plug negative 2 in up here, I'm going to get 0, and then that messes everything up because that's undefined. You can't divide by 0. So even though we found the solution of negative 2, we actually can't include it. So this is actually not a solution. Don't forget to check this one. So 2x plus 4 can also not equal 0. So when I do this, back like I'm in algebra 1, I get the same thing. I get x equals negative 2. All right, so they both actually equal x equals negative 2. Those are both would be extraneous solutions. So we have one extraneous solution of negative 2, but our final answer is just 9. It's not always going to happen that way. It's okay if you get 2 answers. It's okay if you get no answers. It's okay if you get 1 answer, but you always need to go back and check to make sure that it's not an extraneous solution. We did it correctly. It's just when we go to plug it back in, that's going to mess up the denominators, and the denominators are going to equal 0, which is not allowed to happen. All right.